Hello and welcome to Down the Track. I'm your host, Mustafa Ismail, and today I'm joined by a very special guest all the way from the UK, a renowned television sports presenter and anchor who's currently covering the Cricket World Cup for the Star Sports Network. I have with me Seema Jaswal. Seema, thank you so much for your time. How are you doing?
Oh, thank you for the lovely introduction. I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much. You're in England right now, the thick of the action. The Cricket World
Yeah.
Cup is going on. And
Yes,
so,
I am. I've actually just got to Birmingham because I'm going to be covering Pakistan against New Zealand tomorrow.
yeah, big
So I've
game.
just got here. Yeah. Big game because everything's opened up a bit, hasn't it? So it's a big game for both teams. Of course, obviously, we know that New Zealand have been performing so well. But, from Pakistan's standpoint, they've also had some big wins, haven't they? So it's going to be a very big game.
Yeah, it's going to be a big game. I think the Sri Lanka game against England opened everything up. So now the other teams are in with a shout.
Yeah, the chasing pack came. That
Yeah,
fourth place, isn't it, in the top four is just wide open now. So it makes the latter part of the group stages just fascinating. Very exciting indeed.
yeah, for sure. And there's a lot of complaints about like rain and the one-sided games initially in the tournament, but now with over the last week we saw a lot of intense and exhilarating games. And the World Cup's like suddenly caught fire. Like, how has the experience been so far from Ground Zero? You've been there. You're right covering the World Cup. So how's it been?
Oh, it's been amazing. It's been so much fun. So, as you know, I'm primarily a football presenter and snooker. I've
Yes.
delved into motorsport and darts. So, cricket for me is a whole new sport and a whole new world. So, to be part of a Cricket World Cup and presenting it for Star Sports is just such a privilege. I feel so lucky. And it's new for me across the board. So, I think for me, not only am I watching the sport live for the very first time because I hadn't really watched much live cricket. I'm interacting with some of the legends of the game, past and present. I'm with Star Sports, a team that I've interacted with and worked with, of course, in the past with the ISL. So that's familiar for me. But even though I'm at home, it's a totally new experience, and I'm absolutely loving it. And you mentioned the rain. I know that was really upsetting lots of people. I know there was a campaign on social media earlier on. There was the hashtag, I think it was boycott the Cricket World Cup or something like that. It was hilarious because it was just a nightmare, wasn't it? It was an absolute nightmare, and everyone was angry with England and Wales, which I can understand. But unfortunately, that is what we get here in this country. Although, albeit, I don't remember a June which has been that bad. But as you said, it's kind of cleared up a bit now. I feel like a weather reporter actually, because every day I'm like answering all these questions on social media about what the weather's going to be like. It's been brilliant, but now it's a lot better. I think that you do get a true flavour of what England is about because you've had the rain. So now we've got that out of the way. Hopefully it'll be good weather for the rest of it. But overall, I've absolutely loved it.
Yeah, and like you said, now the quality of games with the rain staying away, the quality of games has increased as well. You were at the India-Afghanistan game. Could you shed a bit of light on how the atmosphere was and how was it experiencing that game in the stadium? Because it was a nail biter, wasn't it?
Oh, it was. And how lucky. Again, I felt so privileged to be there. I mean, first of all, I was there, of course, doing all the pre-match build-up. And when I was there on the ground, on the field, there were already India fans and some Afghanistan fans as well already there. But they were there at before I got even there, like early in the morning, just literally chanting and singing. And you know what I don't understand? I don't understand how they don't lose their voices because they're going from like 8 o'clock in the morning all the way through to like literally 7 o'clock at night. It's brilliant. But I mean, it was unbelievable because I know in football we always talk about, and I think in sport across the board really, we talk about fans making the sport. Fans are what make it what it is, and in
Yes.
cricket it is no different. And I think it was just brilliant. I mean, India is just a different game altogether when India are in town because it feels like an India home game without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, but Afghanistan and the fans were also really vocal, really loud, and I just loved chatting and interacting to the fans actually at the interval. I was lucky enough to go out and interview loads of fans and get a sense of how they were feeling. And just the costumes, the colour, the noise, the door players, from start to finish, they just didn't stop. And I just enjoyed it. It was brilliant. It was great to be there. And of course, India winning by 11 runs was the most tense ending to a cricket match I've actually physically been at. So for me, it's one that I will not forget. It was brilliant.
I can only imagine. But did anybody expect Afghanistan to take it that close? Like you were chatting with the experts and stuff. Like anyone at the ground, did anyone expect that from Afghanistan?
No, they didn't. I don't think they did. I don't think anyone expected it to be straightforward, because I don't think you can say any match is easy in a World Cup when you've got the best teams around the world. However, I mean, they hadn't won coming into this. There was so much turmoil, wasn't there? Their lead run scorer back in Kabul, the string of defeats they had suffered from. If they had only put this performance in at the very start, they would have made a huge statement. So nobody expected them to turn up the way they did. But I think that's just the beauty of a World Cup, isn't it? And it's the beauty, I think, of what it's like when teams play India, because I think naturally they raise their game. They raise their standard because they know India are one of the favourites for the tournament. So I just think it was brilliant. And what Afghanistan did do is they won the hearts of all of us. They won the hearts of even the India fans, because
Absolutely.
they just gave such a good performance. I actually was privileged to watch the last few overs with the fans, because normally I'm sort of I'm kind of going between the commentary boxes where I'm watching with the actual experts and sort of listening to commentary and coming down and doing some filming. But for the last few overs, I was actually in the stand in a brilliant position amongst some really, really passionate fans. And I watched it all happen, and even I was just fully immersed. It was brilliant. And what was really nice, actually, you had all the India fans chanting. They obviously outnumbered the Afghanistan fans. But then every now and then you would get one of the Afghanistan fans with their flags like running across the front and just chanting and stuff, but it was all done in jest, and it was really it was actually really nice. It was just friendly banter. It was brilliant, and it was a lovely day as well. So it was brilliant.
Oh, that's awesome to hear. And just a quick word on Jasprit Bumrah. He was bowling the last few overs in the game. How quick is he, like, in the stadium? Could you actually spot the ball from the stands when he's bowling?
It was a great question, because it was very, very hard to. I am fascinated by him because, again, as you know, I'm new to cricket. So to watch someone like Jasprit Bumrah, who is just such a dangerous player, his sort of unique style, the walk, the skip, the jog, the sprint, it's such a fascinating sort of, I guess, style of bowling to watch. And he's just been brilliant. I could spot the ball, but very, very rarely. He was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, you wonder how he generates.
Just speaking to the experts, not only has he mastered the art of bowling a Yorker, he improves all of the time, and every match he will bring something out. He raises his game. I know India are known as having one of the most dangerous bowling attacks. Chahal, Kuldeep Yadav and Bumrah, but he is just something special. And one thing I do love about him, I love his smile.
Yeah,
he's just always smiling. He doesn't look like he'd be very dangerous. He looks too nice, but boy, is he a dangerous player, isn't he?
Yeah, if you notice one thing about him, even if he gets, I think he got hit for a 6 by Nabi in his second or third last over, but he comes back very strong. He has a good good head on his shoulders.
Yeah, definitely. Good mentality. He seems like he's very together. And, again, he does carry that expectation, the weight of expectation on his shoulders, because from the very beginning of this tournament, he's been the one to watch. He has been one of the players to watch. And I think he's living up to that label. So it's just been brilliant. And I did feel very privileged, because where I was sat, I could actually see him for his full run. I wasn't where the commentary, because the commentators sit at a different angle, but I was sat watching his actual, the width of the field. So it was really interesting to see his style. It was brilliant.
Yeah, and you mentioned you were chatting with the experts. You worked with the likes of Sachin, Tendulkar, Sunil, Gavaskar. They're the greatest players to ever play the game. How was that experience, and were you nervous at all? And how did you prepare when you found out you had to work with them?
Well, you know what? I found out I was interviewing Sachin, I think, on the day. It was my first day, actually. It was the opening game, and he was there, and it was just incredible. He is an absolute legend. They call him God for a reason, because he is unbelievable. And, apart from that, he's actually a gentleman. He's a truly incredible human being. And because I got to spend some time with him, it wasn't just about interviewing him. We sat and we spoke in commentary. He was just such a lovely... Sachin was the first interview I did, so it was such a great introduction to this World Cup, because I was like, if I'm nervous now, then it's not going to get any worse than this, is it? Because I'm interviewing Sachin Tendulkar, and I didn't know what to expect. of course, I've heard great things about him, but I didn't know what to expect. And he was brilliant. You know, we sat and we spoke before about sort of some of the questions and what I could ask him. And I asked him for, you know, what he thought of certain situations, and we were building up really at that stage. And then after we were done live on air, they actually said to me, Seema, you're going to do another interview with him. So he went his way, I went mine, and then suddenly we're back in the
Wow.
He had a real laugh, and he was just brilliant. I know, twice in one day I got to interview Sachin. As for Sunil Gavaskar, again, I mean, he is a cricketing hero in his own right. He is brilliant, and I just love his personality. He's very well read, by the way, and he really understands this sport so well that I ask him any question and he will explain it so well to me. That's what I love about Sunny. Yeah. Now, I sit in the Hindi commentary box, so I don't really understand Hindi, which is a bit of a problem, but I listen to the English commentary as well at the same time, interacting with them, and he is a lot of fun. The other day we were actually, where were we? I think we were, we were in Southampton, and that day he was on the Hindi feed. I was doing the English, of course, and I looked behind me, and he was, you know how all the fans turn up so early?
Yeah.
He was actually a couple of fans that were shouting it. He went over, and before I knew it, literally 15 minutes later, I looked back, and he was there, but with a huge group of people, and he was giving them the time, and he was talking to them all, giving them the signatures and autographs that they wanted, and he was just so lovely, really lovely man, and he's just like that. He's just brilliant. He's got a great heart, so I feel privileged to have worked with both of them, and I've interviewed both of them. So and another funny story, actually, Sunny and when Ranveer was in town.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about him as well. Yeah.
Another charismatic person, right? In commentary, it was really fun because they ended up doing a little dance routine in the commentary box.
Yeah, I saw that.
Off air.
Yeah.
Did you see it? How funny was that? I loved it, and I was sat right there thinking, this is brilliant. Like, where would you see these two dancing around in the commentary box when it was India? It was the India-Pakistan game, of course.
Yeah, it was the India-Pakistan game. Yeah.
And they were just having a great time. So they bring a lot of energy. I mean, definitely Sunny does, and I feel very, very privileged to have spent time with him.
No, yeah, absolutely. And like, just a word on Ranveer Singh, where does he get the energy from? He's always dancing around, moving around. Do you know? Is he drinking coffee behind the scenes, or what is he doing?
Do you know what? I don't know where he gets the energy from, but he has so much of it, and he just keeps going. He just keeps going. He's just got such a great personality. Yeah. But you know what? Fundamentally, Ranveer Singh is a sports fan. And that's what I love about him, because when he was at the cricket, whether he's watching cricket or even football, because I know he's a massive Arsenal fan as well.
Yeah.
I've known him. Yeah, I've known him from the fact that he does a lot of work with the Premier League. So I'd never met him before, but I know of his connection with that sport as well. And because he is a genuine sports fan, he genuinely wanted to be there, and he felt it, and he felt every single move. He felt every single part of that match. And I think he just really, really enjoyed the experience, and it was captivating to watch.
It seemed like that
to watch. I mean, obviously, he's now playing the role of Couple Dead in the new movie that's coming out, right?
Yeah.
And he just, I can't imagine anyone better to do that, because he is so committed. That's probably a good word to describe him, because he seemed very committed. Absolutely. And even when the cameras caught him where he was sat watching the match, he felt it, didn't he? He showed his passion.
Yeah, he showed his passion.
Even in commentary, he was brilliant. And I think for the pre-show, the Hindi pre-show, although I was doing the English, I could see what they were doing, and he just brought loads of energy. Loads of energy. So I don't know what he does. I don't know what his secret is, but I would quite like to have whatever he's having, because it does work. It seems to be working.
Absolutely. Seema, also just another question about yourself. You mentioned that you cover the snooker championship, darts, motorsports, and football. Of course, we all know. We watch you on Premier League TV all the time here in Canada. Mm-hmm. Like you host the kickoff and fan zone shows.
Yeah.
So, but how hard or easy is the transition when you're presenting for different sports?
Well, I would say there's a couple of sides to this. So if you think about sport in general, you've got the history, you've got the terminology, you've got the rules, you've got the players, you've got the stories, and across the board in any sport, you're going to have those elements. So in that sense, when you're entering a new sport, you know what lies ahead. You know you're going to have to sort of tick those boxes. You're going to have to understand team mentality, what the captains, who the captain is, who the key players are. And in that sense, it's the same. But you have to also give each sport equally its respect. And I think above everything, learn to resonate with the audience. So once you've done one sport and you've mastered it, you sort of know what to expect. However, I wouldn't say it's not easy to go between the sports. I think you have to do a lot of for example, when I took on the snooker, I did study it like I was back at school, like at university. I watched a lot of snooker. I watched it for hours, to be honest with you, and wrote notes and, understood every single thing, because there's a lot of technical points to it. And I knew if I was carrying this show for the BBC, I had to understand what I was talking about. And I'm not somebody that likes to go in cold. Now, the cricket has come about a bit last minute, so I've done exactly the same, but in a shorter amount of time. But I think what I did prove to myself is once you understand sport, you are sort of asking the right question, the sort of same questions in a roundabout way. And what you can do, and this is what I've done with every sport I've worked on, is lean on the people that you have. Because if I am surrounded by the most incredible former players, commentators, presenters of the sport, then why not lean on them and ask them questions? And it's just about absorbing and learning. And if you're wanting to do a good job and you want to be the best you can possibly be, then as long as you put in the hours and you put in the preparation, then it makes the transition a lot easier. But I think first and foremost, it's about giving each sport the respect. And, I think there are certain sports that are easier to grasp. Snooker, I found, it took me a while to really grasp it, because you're watching these long frames of snooker, you're thinking, what on earth is going on? And again, you don't have to be the expert. You really don't. You're not there to be the expert. You're there to be the person that seamlessly brings everything together. And when things go wrong, you're also there to sort of save the day as such. And when you're presenting sport, it's not really about the presenter. It's about those experts. It's about the teams that are actually playing the sport. The presenter is really the person that brings it together. But in order to do it well, I think you do need to know the sport, because when things go wrong, if you don't know what you're talking about, then you can get caught out. And that's not fair on your audience. So for me, is it easy to transfer between all of them? Well, no, but I think if you do put in the hours, then it makes it a lot easier.
So a lot of homework and preparation goes into like being the presenter, right? Like first of all, you have to understand the sport, but then you have to do a lot of homework, I'm guessing.
Yeah, and I think you have to know who your experts are, who you're going to be with. If it's live or pre-recorded, most of the work I do is live, which I love, which is brilliant, and I love it. And you have to know who your audience are as well, and make sure you're asking the questions, always asking the questions that they would be asking. I think another thing is with mastering the art of presenting, it's kind of making it natural. It's conversational. No one wants like somebody that just asks one question, then another, a bit like what we're doing now. We're conversating, kind of like going, we're going back and forth. That's what I think makes,
if you go back and forth, basically
makes a good presenter. It's like a conversation. It makes it nicer to listen to, and I think, but once you prepare well, you're able to do that, if that makes sense. If you haven't prepared, then it's a bit harder to do that. So preparation for me, if anyone ever asks me my advice, it is key. Whether you're presenting a program, whether you're doing a speech for your best friend at a wedding, whatever it might be, whether you're doing a university speech for something, it takes preparation and practice. And once you've got those two done, then you're pretty much there, to be honest.
No, absolutely. And just the last couple of questions. How did you get into this field of sports broadcasting? Were you always like into sports, or were there anyone in your family, friends, or school that influenced you in your interest for sports?
Well, my granddad and my parents were from Uganda. So my granddad was raised there, and he was a champion tennis player there. So my mum's side of the family grew up playing racket sports, but specifically tennis. So when I was born, my mum and dad both thought, I wonder if she has the tennis gene. And it turned out that I did. So I played tennis from a really early age, from about the age of 5. I played competitively up until about the age of 16, where I just was playing literally like 3 or 4 times a week. And that's when my passion for sport really grew, because when I then was at school, I started playing netball and hockey and a bit of football. But, I loved every single sport that there was. I enjoyed playing every sport and trying different sports. Studied PE, studied the same for A-level.
It
was always part of my life. Yeah, and then when I went to university, funnily enough, I didn't study any sports related degree. I studied a sociology and politics degree only because I knew I had the tennis coaching qualification under my belt and I could do that if I wanted to. But I never thought of media back then until I was at university and sort of thought I'd rather have a career in media. So I got a job at Sky Sports News as a runner. Yeah. And a runner is somebody that prints off scripts, gets all, helps the production team out. And that's how it started for me. I started doing all of that stuff behind the scenes, helping clip things up for the news channel, and it just progressed from there.
Oh, that's amazing. The reason I was asking all this is because these days a lot of people are into it, whether it's ex-players or even youngsters like myself. A lot of people want a career now in sports media. It wasn't that big of a thing maybe when you started, but right now it's a very hot property, basically. And it's really...
It is, because sports is a thing to be part of, though, isn't it? I mean... It's like real life drama, isn't it? It's just
exactly.
It's like it's just an incredible thing to be part of. The highs, the lows, the World Cups, the tournaments, the big occasions.
Yeah.
To have that as part of your job, something that you actually get paid to do, I feel like I'm very lucky to be doing it, to be honest.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And just last two questions. Speaking of football, how was the title race last season? City winning by a point on the last day. How was that experience covering it, like the whole season?
Wow, unbelievable! And title races we've ever had. I mean, it was just fascinating from start to finish. I think Liverpool and Man City were just on another level. To finish, for Man City, as you said, to finish on 98, Liverpool on 97 points. They only lost one game.
One game, yeah.
Ironically, that was to Manchester City.
Yeah.
One game. Man City with 100 points the year before, and then to win it again on 98. These teams are just taking things to another level. I think we've got to give credit to the managers, Jurgen Klopp and Pep Guardiola, because they brought the best out of their team individually. I'm actually really excited to see what happens next season, because I have no idea where this is going. I do see them only getting better.
Do you see this rivalry continuing for another couple of years, like Guardiola and Klopp?
I do.
Yeah,
I do. And you know what? It's really funny, because I was thinking about this, and I think many people would probably say the same, that they've both won incredible trophies. But in this season that's just passed, ideally, each of them wanted to win, perhaps, or a little part of them wanted to win the other one. Like Pep really wanted the Champions League,
exactly.
Klopp, of course, he wanted to. Of course, you'd always want to win a Champions League, but they wanted the Premier League. Liverpool, it meant so much to them. They've won the Champions League obviously 5 times now, 6 times. Yeah. So to win a Premier League would have meant everything. So now it's the challenge of doing the other one.
Yeah, exactly.
Or maybe even doing both. Doing both, maybe, who knows? But it's such a tough league. It is a tough league, and every match is so. Quite a lot of the matches every week were just exciting, because every team was pushing this. It's a brutal league from top to bottom. Any team can beat any team on their day, and I think that's what makes it so exciting.
Absolutely. Hopefully we get to see another exciting season next season. And
I think we will.
Yeah. Just to finish it off, your top 4, who do you think are the top 4 semi-finalists for this World Cup?
Okay, so I think well, obviously Australia have made it through to the semi-finals, and they're the first team to book their place. Then New Zealand and India, 2 teams that are unbeaten. I think they will make it through.
Yep.
And then it's that 4th spot. Now, I would love it to be England, but having lost now to Pakistan, Sri Lanka, and now Australia today, I don't know. And I think that's what's opened up this tournament and made it so exciting. It could be any of the chasing pack, and I really don't know if I can call it, to be honest. It could be any of them. Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Pakistan, any of them.
Yeah, I think for the tournament itself, it would be good if England would reach the semis, because it's in England, and all the fans. This is like the first World Cup where they have a lot of expectations compared to the past tournaments. So I think for them it would have been it'll be heartbreaking if they don't make the semis.
It will, and I don't know. There's a part of me that still thinks they will, but they have put an awful lot of pressure on themselves, haven't they? Because they have their toughest matches still. India and New Zealand, right? Their last 2 matches. So it is going to be very, very tough. But I don't know. I think maybe because I'm English, I'm going to say let's hope that England make it through.
Yeah,
I
and
hope they do anyway. But for the same reason as you, and also, can you imagine an India-England final? That would be the ideal, right?
yeah, there was already a movie called Lagan. I don't know if you know about that. It's a Bollywood movie.
Yeah.
It'll be a part two basically if it's the India-England
Oh
final.
wow. Well, that would be perfect, wouldn't it? It'd be the perfect final.
All right, thank you so much. That's all we have for today. Thank you so much for joining us, Seema. It was a pleasure talking to you and learning a lot of things today. It was thank you so much for your time.
Oh, it was lovely talking to you too. And I hope that the British weather stays nice and sunny for everyone, and that the rest of the World Cup is brilliant for everyone to watch. I'm sure it will be.
Absolutely. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you. Bye.